Dear students, welcome back to the course on solid waste management. In the previous lecture, we had discussed about what is waste and its classification. Today, we are going to further study about the main types of waste along with an introduction to solid waste management. Now let's start with the second module. Apart from the earlier discussed types of waste, there are few categories of waste which are emerging as a challenge for government bodies to tackle. Among these, the first is construction and demolition waste. These are waste generated as a result of construction, refurbishment, repair and demolition of houses, commercial buildings and other structures. They consist mainly of earth, stones, concrete, bricks, lumber, roofing and plumbing materials, heating systems and electrical wires, and a part of general municipal waste stream. These wastes are a potential source for recycled aggregates and many researches are ongoing in order to maximize their utilization in the construction industry. Next is the farm waste. These wastes result from diverse agricultural activities such as planting and harvesting. In India, these are directly burned, causing a huge pollution issue in northern states. Proper management of these wastes is the only way to tackle this issue. Another important waste is the sewage waste. The solid byproducts of sewage treatment are classified as sewage waste. They are mostly organic and derived from the treatment of organic sludge separated from both raw and treated sewages. The inorganic fraction of raw sewage, such as cratonic shells, are separated at early stage of treatment as it may entrain putrescible organic matter with pathogens and must be buried without delay. The bulk of treated dewatered sludge is useful as a soil conditioner but is invariably uneconomical. Solid sludge, therefore, enters the stream of municipal waste unless special arrangements are made for its disposal. The final type of waste is generated from open areas. This includes waste from areas such as streets, alleys, parks, vacant lots, playgrounds, beaches, highways, recreational areas, etc. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is a scheme started by Government of India in order to control especially this type of waste by spreading awareness among citizens. Next, solid waste management. An introduction. Generation of waste has been around for a very long time. There have been problems with waste since the very beginning of the mankind. In terms of how they are managed, the basic means of dealing with waste are dumping, burning, recycling, and waste minimization. Anywhere humans have existed, they have dumped the garbage. It is usually dumped in low-lying areas, as putting it in low-lying areas, one will fill up the ground to the same level. Also, waste are being burned in uncontrolled manner. One may also burn in controlled environment. The controlled burning of garbage can help to produce heat, produce electricity, and all those kind of stuff. Then the question arises, why do we need to burn it? As it says, it saves space, reduce smell, you can have more land, because if you have 100 tons of garbage and if you burn it, you're ending up with 10 tons of residue. So rather than having 100 tons of garbage to be disposed in the landfill, you can burn it, you can recover energy from that, and then you have 10 tons of residue. Many countries around the world, even for that 10 tons, they are going for recycling of waste. They separate into different fractions and use it as construction material for road construction or for some other construction activities like fly ash being used for cement manufacturing. The remaining residual is then sent to landfill. In developed countries, especially in the Western European countries, this value has although gone almost down to 2 to 3%. So when I say 2 to 3%, it is like if you start with 100 tons of garbage, you are only sending 3 tons of residue to the landfill after treating it in a thermal plant. So that is recovering almost 97 to 98% in different forms. This helps in reducing the amount of waste going to landfill, hence extending the length of landfill and reducing the space required for landfill in the near future. Now we will look into the brief history of solid waste. That will make you understand what is the need of this course, which in turn will keep you motivated to learn. So let us talk about the history of solid waste. As I said earlier, as soon as the humans started producing things, we started producing waste, and so we have been dumping this waste wherever we could find a space. As the population increased and cities and towns grew, this dumping space kept on going outside the city boundary. Usually between two city boundaries you will have dumping sites, but when you take it outside the city boundary, you have to transport the waste. So the transportation of garbage becomes important. Today, collection and transportation of garbage is actually the number one in terms of cost factor. So, if you can help in reducing this by coming up with a better route, better optimization, Even if you can help in reducing even one truck trip, it will help in reduction of cost in a huge manner. The uncontrolled dumping has been going on for many societies for centuries, as in terms of history of solid waste. There have been cases where people have gotten sick. The improper management of waste was directly linked to human health and of course environmental health. Now the question arises how we can do in terms of proper management of garbage. When we manage the garbage properly, it helps in reducing and preventing environmental damage. When we say environmental damage, what does it mean? We mean damage to the air, damage to the soil, damage to the water. That is, if water is damaged, my drinking source is getting polluted. By drinking water sources getting polluted, plants don't get the water which they are designed to process. Hence, if it gets contaminated, the water I consume gets contaminated either through my food intake or by my water intake, which might make me sick. Hence, the bottom line is that we have to learn how to better manage the waste material. That is why the subject of waste management becomes very important because it links to the environmental health, also linked to the human health. In terms of waste management, we have looked at its history, what has been happening. So now we'll see what is happening today in the next part. In terms of present day, a big component of the waste management is the 3 Rs. 3R concept is very common that you may also have seen. Many places you would have seen this recycling sign. What is this 3 Rs? First is the reduce, that is, here we are trying to reduce the waste that is being produced in the first place. That is, lesser the produce, lesser will be the net waste. Second is the reuse the waste, that is, reuse the waste material in their original form instead of throwing away. And third is recycle, that is, divert the part of waste stream back into production. Many times these days you would have seen 4 Rs, 5 Rs. It is they say reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, and there are some cases they also say 5 Rs. Recover means this is the recovery of waste without any pre-processing, and refuse means not to purchase things that we don't need. The bottom line is to try to reduce the amount of garbage going to the landfill. The amount of waste needs to be minimized in each and every way possible. Next is solid waste management and introduction. Solid waste management is associated with the control of waste generation, its storage, collection, transfer and transport, processing and disposal in a manner that is in accordance with the best principles of public health, economics, engineering, conservation, aesthetics, public attitude and other environmental considerations. Put differently, the solid waste management process differs depending on factors such as economic status, degree of industrialization, social development, and quality of life of a location. In addition, regional, seasonal, and economic differences influence the solid waste management process. This, therefore, warrants management strategies that are economically viable, technically feasible, and socially acceptable to carry out functions such as protection of environmental health, promotion of environmental quality, supporting the efficiency and productivity of economy, generation of employment and income. Solid waste management has socio-economic and environmental dimension. In the socio-economic dimension, for example, it includes various phases such as waste storage, collection, transport and disposal, and management of these phases has to be integrated. In other words, waste has to be properly stored, collected, and disposed of by cooperative management. In addition, poor management of waste on the user side, such as disposing of waste in the street, stormwater drains, rivers, and lakes, has to be avoided to preserve the environment, control vector-borne diseases, and ensure water quality. With that, I would like to close this particular module. In this module, we have discussed few of the current emerging issues with the waste generation. Also, we looked into the brief history of waste management and later, we discussed the present day philosophy of solid waste management of 3 Rs. In the last section, we got the basic knowledge of terms related to solid waste management. In the next module, we would learn in detail what is solid waste management system, its fundamental elements, factors affecting solid waste management system. Also, the issues and problems with solid waste management in context to Indian scenario will be discussed in details. With this, we'll end this module. Thank you.